All right, we're done outdoors, so now we have to finish indoors. We have to finish installing all of our shims. We're gonna use some low expansion foam to insulate 3 sides of this window, and I'll explain when we get there why I don't insulate the bottom. With our shims and spray foam installed, we're gonna install backer rod and sealant, and that's gonna complete our air seal. So the window will be completely sealed to the opening. Starting to shim, and I should mention that I don't like to have the shims go all the way out to the back side of the nailing flange. I like to have a little space there that if we do our job right with the low expansion spray foam, it will actually fill in and up against the back side of that flange. And that can be important for condensation in a cold climate, just to have a little bit of a thermal break in that opening. So bottomed out, pull it back a little bit, and finish shimming. So the shims do a couple things for us. They ensure that the window actually stays correctly seated in the opening. They provide us with support, especially during operation. As you can imagine, when the window opens and closes, much the same as a door, it exerts pressure onto the window frame, and this allows us to transfer to the window opening, providing support. Just means that your window is going to look good and operate well for the long haul. Now we're going to get the low expansion foam on 3 sides, and once that sets up, we'll trim these off. Because the IGU is more outboard, with Andersen 400 series, I like to take the spray foam, low expansion foam, all the way out to the flange. That way I have somewhat of continuity with that thermal control layer. If the IGU is moved more inboard in the frame, sometimes I will leave a gap behind the flange. So 1/4, 1/2 inch airspace, but I still want that spray foam to be in line with the insulated glass unit. If we can avoid condensation inside the opening, I want to. So this is a little MacGyver, where we save all the tips off of any of our sealant tubes, anything we don't need to use, and we just use it to create our own little tip to get into tighter spots. And we have some that are bigger and some that are smaller, and you can flatten them out if need be to get into a little tighter spot. I'm just stitching this in because I'm forcing the gun in as far as I can. And if I miss a spot, I can always come back and give it another little shot. Now we literally will give that a minute. All right, I have a knife, a drywall knife, because we've gone to exceptional effort to make sure this is airtight, watertight. And when I'm cutting these shims off, I don't want to damage that. So if I slip this in behind where I'm going to cut, I am less likely to actually damage anything. Sometimes these will snap off clean, like that one does. But when I'm doing backer rod and sealant, I don't like to take the chance. I like to just cut them and then I know. So, no foam, no low expansion foam on the bottom, but we are going to do a double layer of backer rod. Now, as you can see, this backer rod is going out literally as far as I can get it to go. So hopefully, and I'm gonna switch that up and I'm gonna add a slightly thicker backer rod. No low expansion foam. I am doing a double layer of backer rod. So in this case, backer rod is gonna perform the job of insulation, but backer rod doesn't like to hold on to water. And even though it could hold a little bit of water in tension, I am not gonna have any issues with bulk water should there be an issue being held in the sill. Spray foam in the bottom of the sill will actually, if the window leaks, hold water in place, prevent it from exiting. We want to always have that drainage path. So now we'll finish detailing this for air. When I cut this, I like to cut it square, somewhere between 3/16 and 1/4 of an inch. And I find that works well for me when I'm just trying to detail and air seal this. The reason we are using backer rod and sealant is sealant performs very well if it forms an hourglass shape. So if I have that backer rod and I have my sealant come out to a flat surface and it forms around the backer rod, and I have my sealant come out to another surface and forms around, it creates that hourglass shape. So you have adhesion on both sides, but no adhesion in the middle. A couple things to make your life easier when you're tooling big stretch. A little soapy water and a rag. Soapy water just helps keep the caulking from sticking to your finger or your tool and makes it easier to clean up if you've got a rag handy. Just want to make sure you've got full contact between the opening and the jamb of the window. And if you miss any point, you can always come back and touch it up. And that takes care of air sealing. And lastly, we're gonna fasten our clips down in place. If this was a traditional 2x4 or 2x6 wall assembly, we would bend this clip over the face of the stud or the edge of the stud and then fasten it directly. But splayed opening, dump our screws in the side. With the air sealing details complete, we're done installing this window. When we do our mid-construction blower door test, we're gonna be able to verify that these air sealing details are actually 100% airtight, and if not, we can touch them up and bring them up to that standard.